I'm Trip. I'm the founder and artist of BitPimps. Next to me is Slim Pseudo Shoe. He's my partner in this whole thing. You know, we started this adventure together, and then Mac Daddy Syrup, who I think everybody has had the privilege of talking to. He is the most responsive motherfucker in this entire server. He literally answers every single question that anybody has. I want to thank everybody for being here and being a part of this project. I wanted to say something right off the bat. I know in the other AMAs, I usually get to the point, and then I'll kind of diverge a little bit later. But I wanted to start off with a little sentiment that I had in this space, in crypto, with NFTs, with money in general, with the economy, with stocks, anything. There's a certain point that you realize that you're little more than just a plastic cup in the middle of the ocean, floating along at the current's mercy, hoping to avoid tipping over and taking on water and sinking. All the while, you're hoping that you drift safely to some paradise. But here's the thing. We are sentient. We're aware of our predicament. And we can break the fourth wall and become our own narrators. We say what we're worth. We say what we can do, and we value ourselves in this community in regards reserved for the highest order of thought. We may just be cups, but together we form a mass. Like some misfit polystyrene boat that's entirely unsinkable because we're holding each other up.
With that giant lump of plastic in the middle of the Pacific.
That's us. Yeah. And then we realize at some point that we don't need to hope for some paradise because we've gained so much mass. We've become so strong, so tight knit. We've become so anchored by the weight of our combined material that we are the island. We are the paradise. We build it on our backs and we are the foundation. We're the land of BitPimps, an island built entirely by cups that didn't give a fuck what the ocean wanted. And then people come in and they see this paradise of ours, and they want in. They become a part of the island, and the cycle of growth continues. And we're the iron-willed plot upon which this entire story unfolds. In this space, people talk about wanting proof of concept. We have all kinds of concepts, and we have tech, we have games, we have fancy this and all these, wow, look at that. But one thing that I don't see a whole lot of in this space is the proof of human concept. I see a lot of proof of bots. I see a lot of proof of manipulation and proof of greed, proof of influencers getting bribes, doing backdoor dealings. I see proof of advertising scams and DM scams. I see proof of theft. And I see one giant proof of kick the can economics, where people are hoping that they're not the one left holding the bag. But very few projects actually provide proof of humanity. What is that? You believe in me, and in turn, I believe in you. That's a beautifully fair trade, if I've ever heard one. We're all human. And just like the base drawing of any of these NFTs, we all come from the same template. And we spend our life collecting unique properties, our modifiers. But underneath of that, every extra digit of code we're all just the same. We're all one. Let's treat each other with that understanding. Let's become the island, because that is what it means to be in this project. That is what it means to be a bit pimp. So, where are we at right now? The art on this project is pretty much done. We're about 95% there. Anything that's happening now, art wise, is essentially just polishing or adding on the last little remnants of things for the game that we have in play. The contracts are in very good shape. We have a lot of people don't know this, but I did bring on a new developer last week, and he has been absolutely incredible. I mean, when I say I'm impressed by this gentleman, it's an understatement. He has brought new ideas to the table that eluded me this entire time, and they were right in front of my face. And he knows a wealth of information and knowledge in this space and experience. We found an insanely good pick, and I'm ecstatic to have him on. So when it comes to where we're at, we're in a very good space. But the reason that we're having this meeting is because when we started this project, this idea that I'm going to talk about is something that we had. In fact, Pseudo had it. And he had brought it up several times. And throughout the course of the project, it was something that we kind of pushed to the side and said, well, we can do that later. We can do that later. We need to focus on this thing first. And it just seemed like too big of an idea. But where we're at now, it does not seem too big, because we're at the point where the initial things that we wanted to achieve are pretty much there. But those initial things do not measure up to this increased playability, to this increased depth in game that this idea brings. And I cannot stop thinking about this idea. And the energy surrounding it is such that it was when we first started the project, and I had all this creative flow that was occurring. And that's how I always know that something is right. And I think you guys will feel what I mean as we talk about it here. So what is it? What is this new direction? So where we are now is you would basically be doing there would be limited playability. You would be able to point and click, being able to go from browser screen to browser screen in a game that would allow you to do certain actions. We've talked about them in the prior AMAs, which is fine, but it's not particularly as fun as something that I really want. So what we're doing now is we have looked at the bones of Pokemon, and we have basically gotten to a place that we can adapt the overarching world of Pokemon and incorporate this into our game, and just change all of the textures, all of the skins, all of the sprites, all of the dialogue, all of the code to meet what we want to do. So this would allow you to perform in a top-down environment that would then combine with the art we already have, so that when you have to interact with a first-person situation, it will transition into a first-person view. And I'm talking about like early Pokemon. If you can think about like the Game Boy back in the day, this top-down view of being able to travel from place to place, communicate with people. And this would allow us to incorporate a huge amount of playability. And what we're looking at is the ability, rather than going off of, like if you think about Wolf Game where they have percentages of wolves versus sheep, this would allow us to actually have you battling cops. So bit pimps and bit cops fighting, bit pimps fighting each other, fighting other bit pimps, having moves that they can perform, having gear that they can get as per our module 2 being applied to battles, being able to make money off of these things, being able to bet within the game, having missions that you can perform, daily objectives that you can perform to earn the in-game currency. And I mean, I've already written out a massive thing about all of the details that this entails. And the more that I write on this, the more I'm like, man, this is insane. This would be so much fun. This is essentially what we're talking about is GTA meets Pokemon. And that is what BitPimps wants to do at this point because it's so much more playable. The amount of fun that you can have doing this, the amount of community that you can make, in the Discord, we can have entire things dedicated to people that have to do multiplayer missions, people that want to do PvP. Any of these things are just it's just so much more depth and there's so much more playability. There's just so much more fun that you can have with it. And we've already started thinking about everything that this entails. It's insanely exciting to me, but I also know just how much more needs to go into it at this point. While we can use a lot of our tech that we've already written, a lot of what we have in the contracts, and while we can use pretty much all the art, we still have to do more art. So what I'd have to do at this point is hire another artist because for me personally to go through and do all of the changing of the bones would be way too much time, number one, but it would be insanely stressful on me and it wouldn't be feasible. So I need to hire somebody to work with me. When it comes to our developer situation, I've already spoken with our new dev and he's already put out a call to get a game developer for basically modding and coding the entire game for us. So we would be hiring an extra game or an extra dev that would be working on coding the entire website to play essentially as a Game Boy. And if you're playing in browser, you're talking about AWSD, LK for A and B buttons, but on your phone, basically just looks like a Game Boy. So those things obviously will take a little bit more time. I mean, I've already been assured by our devs that it's absolutely doable. In fact, they were super excited about it. They said, this sounds way more fun. Let's go ahead and add this in. It takes a little bit more time to write these things, but I think the art will probably line up about perfectly with the amount of time that it takes to just get everything right, everything audited, and make sure that all of our code and contract is correct. What does this mean as far as this project goes? For me personally, it means that if I am paying for it out of my pocket, which I currently have been this entire project, the expenses per week that I'm already incurring are high. And this would put my expenses per week at, just to be transparent, likely over $10,000 a week that I'm paying to developers, to artists. And at that point, it's doable, but it also means that I'm putting a lot more risk out there if I don't have any guarantee in return that this project is going to fully succeed. I mean, we could put out the best game in the world, but it depends on if people are going to buy it. It's just the reality of the situation. So what I'm proposing is based on a chat the other day when I first mentioned what we're doing. And people had said, why don't you do a Genesis drop? Why don't you do a Mint Pass? And that's what I'm looking at doing now. So we're still discussing it behind the scenes of exactly what utility we should bring to it. Should we do land? Should we do this? Should we do that? And I want to find something that really feels correct for this project and for you guys. I know one thing, if I'm looking at like Kickstarter as a model, we would say that we'll do it in waves. We'll have the earliest wave be the cheapest wave out of any of them. You would be able to buy a token or a piece of land or whatever it is that would cost you the least amount being part of this first wave versus ending up on drop day. You would be paying a much lower percentage or a much lower price for your pimp for a token that would essentially be exchangeable on drop day for a pimp, for land, whatever it is that we do. I would want to have bonuses as well, I feel like the people that invest in me when there's nothing out there for them, I feel like those people deserve the biggest reward out of anybody because they believe in it. They trust us. They know what we've been doing. They've been following it enough to believe that we can do it. So for the early Genesis stuff, I believe that there should be bonuses for people. They should get things and they should be rewarded for participating in this project, for being a part of it and giving us the strength, especially myself, because it gets stressful, And I feel like you guys should be rewarded for helping me through this process as we try and create something together. And then, we'll figure that out, and I'll lay out a much more defined format for how we'll do the waves. If this is the direction that you guys as a community feel comfortable going in. I don't want to go down a road and have people not be on board, especially if you're our day ones. I want people to feel comfortable and sharing their opinion, sharing their thoughts about the project. If they like the direction, sharing things that they want to see in it. Because if we're developing it, I want to be able to give you guys the things that you want, especially if we're at this point where we have this much more availability of tools around us and depth of world to be able to create missions, create objectives, whatever we need to. I think that gives you guys a much more wide palette to choose from if you have suggestions. So that is where we're at. If you guys have questions, I'm sure that some of you do, feel free to raise your hand in the AMA chat or AMA listening panel, and I'll go ahead and invite you to speak. Or if you don't want to do that, you can always put it in Alley, and I'll go ahead and answer anything that I see in there. Yeah, I mean, when looking at Gala's comment, it was just me looking at it and saying, I want to have, I mean, even beyond just the money of having to put out for this thing, it's the affirmation that if I do put a mint pass out there, that people will want to see this idea go forward. So seeing that the mint pass sells out, we do like 100 or something for the first one, or 200, whatever it is, whatever we come to. And you can buy, in my mind, I think right now you'd be able to buy multiples. That way, you could buy however many up to a certain point, and then on drop day, you start out with a big advantage over everybody else. I think that's only fair if you're going to support this project right off the bat. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to gauging risk, it's also, it's, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've said it already, but I've put over 800 hours. I'm probably approaching close to 1,000 at this point into this project. So there are days that it becomes very hard to not feel the stress of all of this time, all of this money that I've put into this. And then I see the community and the people that have joined around this thing that they haven't even seen yet. And it's just because they've found each other, they've found this group, they found humor in their lives, and they look forward to it every day, or even just being a part of it. If they're not here every day, they're here once a week. They look forward to stopping in. And that feels, it's like we've started something that even if I wanted to, I don't think I could stop, because it's you guys are bigger than what this was when we first started. I didn't know that it would become such an emotional investment, but it has. I mean, pimps cry too, and some of you guys the other day said some very nice things, and it brought a tear to my eye, and that's incredible.
Dude, I think this is honestly a good opportunity to maybe do like a small Genesis run of the PFPs that you've already put so much work into, and those become your entry pass into the game. That's your original pimp.
Yeah, I mean,
and we just start doing small batches of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, people had said at one point that they really wanted a pimp as their PFP, so I'm not opposed to that idea. I mean, maybe we can put out a poll for the community as to what they would like for utility, what they would like to see for the mint pass. I mean, I already know that I want to do the Kickstarter style, like waves with benefits as far as price goes and bonuses, but for utility, that's a whole nother thing. What can we do for you guys, whether it's land or, like Pseudo said, with PFPs? We'll put out a poll for that. Maybe just do like a Google form and maybe have an other in there and see what all the responses come back as, and then we'll kind of tailor it towards what we see the community moving towards.
Perhaps they are the PFPs, but with the added modifier of maybe the ability to earn more right off the bat. You know, like the earliest members will always have the potential to raise the most in-game currency because they were on the earliest wave of batches.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you, you essentially, it's kind of similar to what is it, Naxi, where you have Genesis land that has bigger bonuses than all other land. I mean, maybe we go in that direction. It's like I don't want to put my fingers on the scale too much, but I also want to benefit people that are here. People that come later obviously will. It's like it's not their fault that they didn't find it if it's one of a million projects, but you know people are here. We need to give the people that are here the benefit of being here and why that's beneficial to them. So I think we'll do a poll and we'll just have like a whole bunch of options and then just an other option and people can write whatever they think in there. We all have brains, but we all make up essentially one brain cell of this community, and together we can come up with we're a much smarter organism when we work together. So whatever everybody kind of finds as the best solution, I'm willing to go with that. And obviously, we as the team and myself will continue coming up with ideas and just throwing them out there. When it comes to the roadmap, we were going to drop our website today, and then I went through and I'm looking at all this new stuff, and I've written all this new stuff and all these new ideas and the mechanisms of how things will play out. Talking to the devs, I had meetings all yesterday talking about these things, and I realized, like, look, our the white paper that we're going to put out today, the website and the information on it is going to be inaccurate if we go in this direction. And I mean, the community, everybody so far that I've seen has said, let's go in this direction. So we'll go ahead and get that updated this week. We'll push out the new white paper, the new roadmap, and talk about the longer cycle that we're looking at, the longevity of the game. And we'll try and get that out this week, as long as we are confident that that we have everything that we want in the white paper and how to play the game, essentially. The other thing that I'll talk about while you're here is our new section at the bottom of the Discord, the Underground. So what it is right now, it's just set up for fun, where you can just go in and we'll set up a how to play thing, but essentially just putting in the command of what the channel name is, and then you can play any number of casino games that we have in there. We're going to set it up for an economy as well. So right now you can just experiment with it, but I mentioned it earlier in chat. Essentially what it's going to end up being is like a pimp Chuck E. Cheese. So you'll be able to earn, you can do commands for working, you can earn by communicating, and you can bet through the games and earn enough money to try and get prizes. And then we'll set up a prize wall, with the top being something crazy like a 1 of 1 or something like that, having a new role available, just any number of prizes that we can come up with that we can throw on our prize wall that you can basically trade your pimp tickets for. Yeah, I mean, the other thing that we'll add to it too is like you can raise horses, you can breed animals that you can then race, like all kinds of stuff. We're still playing around with it. So once we get it fully figured out, we'll write a full how-to, and you guys can play in the Discord and try and earn enough to get some prizes.
I think one thing that might be nice to mention is that perhaps we expect this game to be something ever-changing, ever-growing playability, where we still plan to try and integrate our previous modules of, having access to different things and being able to grow within the game and the economy. Like, that is still the plan in developing this game, is that the hope is that we can kind of release, maybe the first module that allows everyone to interact with the game a certain way or do a certain mission. But the plan is for that to grow over time as more currency is earned and burned and the economy takes place.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, what I'm looking at right now, let's just say, okay, let's put it out there. This is what I would see us releasing for the first module as soon as we feel confident that everything is secure, everything is releasable. We would release a site that you can play on. You can use, if you're on browser, you can use your keyboard. If you're on your phone, you can use a D-pad and A and B buttons. You'll be able to explore the first town as well as the first wilds. Town would be a safe place. The wilds would be where you could get in fights with bit cops. You could get caught. It's also where a lot of the missions and objectives will take place to try and put you out of your comfort zone. we would have daily rotating objectives that you would be able to perform either in town or out in the wilds, depending on what the objective is. You would be able to fight bit cops. You'd be able to win. They'd be able to beat you.
This being enveloped into staking into a DeFi pool where like the action of playing the game is also a way of you earning currency. Like as active as you are means that like your currency will continue to increase.
Yeah, well, we also talked about, I mean, you see this in a lot of other games, but being more active per day would help you in a big way when it comes to objectives. Because I see it as if you finish, all your objectives for the day, you get paid for those. And then each consecutive day that you perform all of your objectives, you get a bigger payout than the day before. And then if you miss a day, it resets back to the original multiplier. So that's definitely one way that people can earn more per day. When it comes to the mechanism of staking, I had looked into the potential of your pimp is basically going to work, but that's something that we're going to talk to the devs about once I write everything out and we can kind of condense all these ideas into what this will 100% be. We're still very early. It's like yesterday was the first big talk that I had about how to do everything. And one thing that made me insanely comfortable was talking to our devs. They were immediately not only completely sure that this was doable, they were excited about it and they had all these ideas of how it would be done. So the amount of confidence was just a massive boost. And that gave me a lot of confidence coming into today to talk to you guys.
Dale, in terms of marketing, this was actually a big part of the conversation and moving towards this idea of a gameplay where you're actually interacting. One thing that we find very difficult in even trying to market a staking DeFi-based game is that outside of hitting a web page and clicking stake your sheep, there's really not a whole lot of interaction that you have in the game. So it doesn't feel like a game. This moving in this direction allows us to push a lot of our marketing into how you would actually be interacting and like taking place in that gameplay, which will make it a lot easier for us to create visuals and attract an audience that we're hoping to attract, in that we're not just showing people pictures of a barn and wolves. We're actually showing the gameplay that you'll be able to interact with when you commit to our project. So I'm honestly really looking forward to that opportunity because it has been hard to kind of generate content around this outside of being like a 10,000 piece collection or whatever it may be. It gives us the opportunity to really have fun with the optics.
Yeah, I mean the optics I think on this are leaked better than what we had before. I mean, we can present a demo, all the mechanisms that are at play, and then just the tagline. I mean, before we didn't really have this, and like you said, saying GTA meets Pokemon is a very good tagline. It's a very good elevator speech to have. Beyond that, when it comes to marketing, I do have some tricks up my sleeve that I've held off on employing until we were pretty close to where we wanted to be. So I think we'll probably be seeing that as we get through this. The ground team, I think, is one initiative that I'm really looking forward to finally getting everything shipped out to people. And beyond that, I mean, when it comes to the rest of the marketing, that's something that we as a team, I mean, that is our responsibility, but we also do need the pimps of the group. And I know a lot of you are constantly interacting with us on Twitter and social media. We just need the message to be spread as effectively as possible. So if we call on you guys for action, work with us on that. But when it comes to actually making this project cool, actually making the marketing happen, yeah, that's on us. I mean, we have to be as effective as possible to make this a desirable project. We have no illusions of anything otherwise. There is also something that I'm not going to reveal to the community, but we've been talking about in Mac Daddies that involves some pretty big names. That will be something that when it actually happens and we drop the bomb, I think people are going to go pretty crazy about it. Y'all are going to lose your minds.
Yeah, as long as it's employed correctly and the timing is right, it will be a very effective marketing tool. I'll say that much. I think we missed a question actually from Sheffin. Sheffin had asked if there was any plans of eventually developing a mobile version for the game via an app.
Yeah. So I actually talked to our newest dev about that yesterday, because he's worked with uh, creation of gaming apps before. So he seemed kind of excited about that prospect, and I told him, for now, let's get through the first module, let's get everything pushed. But I would love to eventually have everything be in a very nice, clean UI on an app. I mean, that would be amazing to me if we could have it on all platforms. As far as how much we need to raise, I'm going through. So basically, what I'm trying to do right now is look at how long it takes me personally to, if we're talking about the art side of it, let's kind of break it down a little bit, just to be transparent. How long it takes me personally to retool, to readapt a sprite to be able to look like a pimp, and like the housing, the textures, the colors, all these different things. What I'm trying to do is one section of it and then look at how much pixel space we actually need to accomplish that with. And then I'll extrapolate out from there how much time it should take to get the first module done. And then I'll look at each module after that and say how long it should take. Just run all those numbers for the art side. When it comes to the tech side, the devs are actually getting me a time frame, which essentially I'm paying weekly for my devs. I'm paying upfront, so it's a consistent rate, but it's also how much time is it going to take. So once they get me a time frame, then I will know how much that cost is. So as far as numbers, I can't give you an exact target as of right now. I would say this coming week, after I do the math, after I figure all that out, I'll know pretty much exactly what I'm looking at. And I'll be, like I said, I'll be very transparent with you guys. Oh, that is something that I did want to mention as well, as far as transparency, because I think this is insanely important. If we're going to be doing a mint pass, if we're going to be going this route, is that you guys know where all of that money is going. So what I would like to set up is in this Discord, a channel that monitors the community wallet that these funds would be going into. And every time that we have a transaction that has to come out of that, I want to give you as much information, receipts if possible, of what it's being spent on, why it's being spent, and just let you know that this isn't, I personally will not be taking a single cent of payment for myself out of this fund until the project is dropped and I feel as though we have succeeded. Everything until then, every bit of that money that we get in from this will be going towards the development of this game. And I think it's important that you guys have full transparency and see exactly what your money is being spent on.
I think at this point, we just need everyone to be very vocal about what benefits they hope to gain by being early to this project. And, however we do decide to generate those funds, let us know what you guys want. Like, we have the freedom at this point to kind of pick and choose what access you all get to something ahead of time, or what benefits you might gain from specific modifiers. That let's have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely want to hear from the community. We're putting everything that we can into creating this project, into fostering this community. And when it comes back to marketing, I mean, marketing is a big part of bringing energy into this community. And unfortunately, one of the things I think we all realize with this space is that there are so many projects, there is so much going on, and it's moved so fast that attention spans can get very, very thin. And it takes big announcements like this, demos, things that we have planned with the marketing that bring people back into the fold. We have a lot of people that I know are 100% committed to this project, but they're just not in here every day. It happens. But once we actually get to the point that the game is playable in this way that we're looking at now, and we drop, I mean, the amount of interaction that will happen in here just from the things that I have set up already in my mind are should be amazing. I mean, we should have people constantly looking for groups, constantly trying to play together. I see a massive flourishing community that is born out of the foundation of this game beyond anything that we've seen yet. And what we've seen so far is amazing. I mean, this community is beautiful. If anybody can even talk about one instance where somebody said something negative in this group, it hasn't happened. It's been nothing but laughter and joy and positivity and trying to help each other out. So if we can continue to follow that build and that mentality, I think this community is going to be one of the best and most lively, flourishing communities in this entire space.
And I would agree with that 100%. I think that's an edge that we have now. Obviously there's 1,700 people on the server. There's a lot of people that are kind of lurking, and we're aware that not everyone feels comfortable chatting. There's probably some people that are just kind of on the fence, just waiting to see what happens with the project before they decide to invest more of their time. But 100%, a lot of us are on the server every day, and for me personally, I feel like I have a very, very close pulse on the community here, and I can attest to that there hasn't been one shred of toxicity in here. And I've been in servers for a lot of other projects, and there's toxicity daily. So that's something that I personally am very proud of, and that may happen down the road, but that's kind of why we're here. With this new proposed direction, like Trip was saying, this space just accelerates so quickly. I mean, just think of where the focus was 4 months ago, where it was just PFP projects, and how that quickly shifted over to the play to earn model. The first really big prominent one that was getting a lot of attention being Wolf Game, and then you see a lot of these copycat projects evolve from that, and it's only going to be a matter of time before the focus shifts somewhere else. So, as Trip had mentioned in previous announcements, the current direction we were going was good, but this new direction, based on feedback from the community, can really set BitPimps apart from the rest of the fold. I 100% believe that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to ignore once we started thinking about the directions and the depth that this gave, and the ideas that if I'm up for 4 hours laying in bed with my eyes wide open and I can't stop thinking about ideas, that's how I know that something is good. If my brain will not shut off because there are so many potential avenues and good thoughts and positive directions just springing up to the degree that I can't sleep, you got to trust your gut on that one, man. You just have to. Well, I'm sure that there are things that we have missed, and I'll probably kick myself afterwards for not bringing things up. But I think for now, for the sake of not having this recording go too long, because we're going to edit it down and try and make it as tight as possible so people will actually listen to it. Because I mean, I think some of you would agree this was a very important thing for people to hear. I don't want it to run too long, so why don't we go ahead and call it, and we'll go ahead and talk in chat, and anything else that you guys want to ask, feel free to ask in there, and we'll be around to answer it.
Wait, yeah, I think this was very concise. I don't think we missed anything. I'm happy.
And for everybody that's in this chat, get the fuck on my boat. Y'all are on the boat.
Yeah, that's why we're not a community whatever the fuck anymore.
Yeah, we got kicked out of community discovery.
They saw get the fuck off my boat, and they're like, nope, get them out of here.
Whatever, man. That's what makes us fun. We're good.
Yeah, for real. For the love.
We ain't PG.
Yeah.
All right, John.
Cool. Well, let's bounce to lounge if anyone's down to chat.
Yep.
Hang.
Thank you so much for the time, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.